Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch the show live, go ahead and join us there. And today we have fairly normal. We only have one privacy article. I had another one, but it was actually an article from a long time ago with an update last month. Not going to do that. And we have some new takes on some old security scams, and then of course we had some data leaks. AI news, because, you know, the overlords are coming, and then we got some business and some SillyVille, of course. We're going to go ahead and start in on this one. There is a new company that wants to treat and track ADHD symptoms. Of course, this is in privacy because of that whole tracking feature. So the idea here is that this particular researcher who was diagnosed with ADHD has a big passion for its treatment, but is concerned about the medications because of the various side effects. And effectively, you take the medication, it's not targeted anyway. And so what this person did is created this device. You can see these two people wearing this really trendy headband. Well, this is the Neurode headband, which is right now they're in selective testing, which is one of the phases before an FDA approval. So it's not an FDA approved device, but what they claim is that you wear this headband for 20 minutes a day, and it's going to do two different things. The first is it's going to basically give you electroshock therapy and shock in targeted areas, which is allegedly going to help. And then it's also going to do a low-level infrared scan of your brain and keep track of allegedly how your ADD is improving. And what they allege is by using it and firing it in certain ways, they will restore some plasticity to some areas, which would in theory change this. And that's really what their goal is here. The thing that got my mind going is that not only is it this device, but for interest of our channel is the tracking. So you can see your brain in real time, Come on, guys, get an editor on your website. So especially it's one thing if you have a typo down here, but when you have a typo up here in the header, that's kind of problematic. But here this is the image of what the scan is. So you basically put the thing on, and then of course, what I find hilarious is in order to use this thing, you got to use the thing with the whole cell phone. And curiously, as other researchers have found, any use of a cell phone tends to increase the ADD tendencies. So they have a thing where you have to use a thing that creates ADD tendencies to treat your ADD tendencies. Go figure. But you have to put the band on, and then you control everything with your phone. And then, of course, it's going to give you tracking data on your app. Now, of course, this app must go up and sync with their individual servers. So, especially it's the beta, they're testing it, they want to see the results. Now, does this results actually show us that things are actually improving? I don't know. It may not. Who knows what it's doing? You can do all sorts of fun stuff with statistics if you know how statistics works. So the problem that I have with this, of course, is now we're tying this thing into a smartphone app. And of course, the smartphone app is utilizing some form of cloud system, and that is going to enable you to store all this data. Now, on the one hand, you can easily share things with your doctor or your researcher if you're doing that. Of course, you have access to that information. But on the downside is there's too much emphasis on this, and we're doing it with things that don't need that kind of stuff. If you're curious about it, of course, all of our links are always in the description of the video. Just click the link to the website and that'll take you to the page. You can go down here if you're interested and watch the video. It's a nice 5-minute video, and she explains in here quite a bit about how it works. And people are saying it works great, but just kind of curious. And I just have serious concerns about any of these medical technology devices which are syncing your data into somebody else's server. So I'm just not a huge fan of that personally. Now let's head on over to some security news. First up, this is a new take on another combination of malvertiser / fake website. Of course, we looked at the one that was utilizing the Microsoft community website a couple weeks ago. This one is actually utilizing GitHub repos. So, of course, if you have a GitHub repo, you can create a website on that GitHub repo. So these guys are creating fake Applecare support plans on GitHub repos and then taking out advertising in order to get to it. But of course, since it's on GitHub, of course it's good. So, you know, GitHub is taken over by Microsoft, and now Microsoft is hosting the world's leading source of malware. So if you start searching for things, this is the malvertising here. And you'll see, though, it's going to GitHub. And so since it's going to such a reputable site as GitHub, people might think it's actually okay, especially from Appcare's 247.github.io. Don't go there. This is a malvertising that's taking you to a GitHub page, which looks very much stylistically like Apple. Applecare Plus. Call now. Here's the number. Now, this number here is fake. Don't dial that number. And if you click the call now button, this is the number it's clicking you to. That's all fake as well. I'm not sure if this is the real one or not. I'm not going to say if it is or not. I haven't a clue. But they're now using the GitHub repos. You come on in here. Of course, here's when this is updated an hour ago. And here's the commit, so you can see that they're easily able to use Git to cycle the phone numbers easily. So as soon as one phone number gets compromised, they just throw up another one. And so you got to be careful, know what you're getting into, and just be aware of that. Now, curiously, if you remember the old sextortion scam that was going around, you've seen this. In fact, as we were, one of these articles came up last week when we were doing the news, and while we were doing that, one of the people on our after stream hangout was actually checking email and got that scheme. And you've probably all seen it. I've seen it, like, 15 different things, all, of course, all from computers that, don't even have any cameras or microphones capable of detecting such material if I were to engage in such a thing anyway. But of course, the article, it starts out like, hey, you pervert, I know what you've been doing. I installed this malware. Now, the update that we didn't include in the news, it was either last week or the week before, the update we didn't include in the news is that now they're getting bold and they're posting pictures of your house. Because of all of these data leaks and the fact that these companies and businesses have an incessant desire to collect every bit of information and no laws about what they can do with it and effectively no security, it's all leaked out online anyway. So they do some basic name searches, figure out who you are, and then they'll go on to like Google Earth, take a picture of your house, and the updated version is they're sending you pictures of your house to quote unquote prove that they know it's you. And so you get an email with a picture of your house saying, I know what you've done, pervert, pay us some Bitcoin or I'm going to release this to your entire contact list. They've racked in quite a bit of a profit. But enough people are getting wise to this. That's been going around for like 5 years now. So now they are slightly tweaking this. Now they're talking about cheating spouses, because which person out there doesn't have that little tinge of get an email, hey, I'm a private investigator. I've been following your wife around or your husband around, your spouse around, whatever else. And I have proof here of the cheating they're doing against you. Pay me some money and I'll give you the proof. That's the new update to the scam. So if you happen to get an email suggesting that your spouse is cheating on you, most likely it's not. If it's coming from Three Bigs or Sav Car, just go ahead and be like, here's actually a copy of the email. Spouse's name is cheating on you. Here's proof. As a company engaged in cybersecurity, we have found information to spouse's name that interest you. I love that grammar there. We made a full backup of his disk. We have all his address book, social media, history of viewing sites, dating apps, all files, phone numbers, and addresses of all his contacts, and are willing to give you full access to this data. For more details, visit our website. There you go. So if you get that email, yeah, that's a scammer. Don't fall for that nonsense. And with that, we'll jump on over into our data leaks next. The first up, a payment provider leaked information on 1.7 million customers' credit card information, and this had effectively everything you needed to do to steal somebody's credit card. So this is Slim CD. It's just one of the small payment processors that will process credit cards, among other means, and they didn't clarify exactly what all of the other means they were. But this company that you may not even know you're doing business with, hackers were in there for 10 months, but they said they only got credit card information for 2 days. That was June 14th and June 15th. Include full names, physical address, credit card numbers, including the expiration dates. So that is what this data breach is doing. So 1.7 million customers. I've never heard of Slim CD as a credit card processor, so I'm not sure how big this is, how frequently it's used. Who knows? It's probably one of those cloud backup ones that's, used on everything under the sun, and I've just never heard of it because I'm too small of an enterprise to have heard of it. You never know. Could be one of those. And on to our next one. This one affects the medical professionals. There's a data breach of 14,000 doctors, which includes effectively everything you need, including medical license numbers, social security numbers, all forms of information. And so this is a Florida-based recruitment company called MNA Healthcare. So if you've ever done business with MNA Healthcare in Florida, they are a recruitment agency for the medical industry. You would give them a lot of information, basically create a profile, and they're going to help you allegedly find a job. And so with that, what they did is they were able to get in there, breach the information. Now, they do have the social security numbers are encrypted, but it's just using encrypt, so that's fairly trivial at this point in time to get decrypted at this point. You may as well do like MD5 like WordPress does, right? So you do the, let's see here. They had details leaked from a recruitment company, including info from 11,000 hospitals, 14,000 doctors' accounts, 37,000 potential leads, and 11,000 job applications. Data leak causes further concerns regarding the company's infrastructure and security, as the database backup for their platform was improperly stored, as well as configuration file containing the key likely used to decrypt the social security numbers. So it's not clear how the information was exposed, but the breach could leave victims vulnerable to phishing attacks or scams. So if you are a doctor or somebody in the medical industry, if ever you've done business with that particular company, then be aware that just happened. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we are highlighting A2 Hosting. If you want to get a good website and you need some servers for that, you can use A2 Hosting. Our affiliate code is tlm.li/A2H. That's going to get you a good discount for web hosting, and it will help support the channel in the process. You can do very small shared hosting as little as $2 a month, and they go all the way up to much better, bigger and better hostings for a little bit more. So if you want to help support the channel, tlm.li/A2H. With that, let's move on over to AI news next. First up in AI news, if you remember, Amazon has a new AI personal shopper. Well, it's decided it's going to start showing you ads with its advice. So the idea of getting this, Rufus, is to go ahead and look at all the things and be like, hey, we think that this might be something you're looking for. And now they're going to start throwing ads into that. So it begs that interesting question. Now, if the AI itself is basically just utilizing your data and showing what it thinks you want to buy, that's already useful. But now somebody else is paying money to get their result thrown in that mix as well. So we can't get away from it. So Apple or Amazon is just going absolutely crazy with the kind of stuff, cramming ads absolutely everywhere. Of course, they're putting ads now in the Amazon Prime, which it never had it before. You can pay a little bit more money to the Gestapo, and they'll think about taking the ads out for a little bit. And then they got the extra device. You paid more money for it. You pay a subscription service. It's supposed to show your pictures, but now that shows you ads now too. Now they're giving us ads inside of their own AI embedded nonsense. So, yeah, I'm not interested in Rufus at all. Certainly not interested in seeing ads. And so, no, there you go. So if you are using that, though, just be aware that you might not be getting quite the curated results you think that the AI is like, hey, this guy over here is paying me money to feed you this result. What is this, a lobbying effort? I thought the AI was supposed to give you results based on what it wanted you to see, not what somebody else wanted you to see. Here's a little bit of money. Make sure he sees that. Good to know. Well, this is interesting. Google's AI, this is Gemini, will help decide whether unemployed workers get benefits. Yikes. Okay, this is getting down the terrifying. So this is in Nevada. So if there's anybody from Nevada, I know we got one guy from Nevada. You can out yourself if you want. Any other Nevada guys watching here? So they're now utilizing AI to determine who gets unemployment benefits. Now, this is frightening on a number of levels. The first level is that there is warnings and notices that AI is not ultimately good and responsible. While it can push out a report really fast, significantly faster than the person, that report is so full of errors, it takes more careful review than writing it to begin with. And so this leads a problem. So they've actually warned down here near the bottom, privacy and accuracy. One factor is if they're feeding all this data into Google's AI, they're effectively feeding that data into Google to train their AI further. Furthermore, though, the fake information, the hallucinations, as it were, comes up and feeds wrong information. So they're talking about utilizing the RAG models, the retrieval augmented generation models. They retrieve information from specific databases. This case one contained Nevada unemployment law in previous appeals cases in order to provide a more tailored and accurate results than the foundational model would usually generate. But the problem is the hallucination starts coming in, and you also have some biases come in. And so what ends up happening is the AI starts making mistakes that it shouldn't be making. And so you'll end up with circumstances where the AI provides really bad advice. Now, this in and of itself is bad enough, but there's one more angle I want to throw into the atmosphere that was not mentioned in the article. And that is there was some discussion when, there's a lot of discussion right now about single-payer healthcare systems. Of course, Canada is doing a lot of experimenting with their MAIDS program right now. And of course, in Canada, where they have that single-payer system, it's oftentimes cheaper to just, what word can I use without being super censored here? Join the blue sky than it is to take care of people. And so they're literally pushing this program for people with simple, minor mental disorders. And in some cases, people who just have poverty. Like, oh, your life sucks, huh? Well, just take this little pill and you won't ever have to think about it again, ever. You'll be up there and down there at the same time, And so as we start moving towards a world that's becoming more considerate of those things, there has been some concern about people utilizing, and governments particularly utilizing AI to make the healthcare triage decisions. And when you do that, you're effectively letting a computer make the decisions about whose life is worth saving and whose is not. It carries with it some of the elements from I, Robot, the movie with Will Smith, where his big beef with the robots is that the robots don't have human compassion, and as such, robots not having human compassion, they cannot make true human decisions. We can't make true human decisions without having the humanity in us, which AI can never have. And so the big problem with that particular movie that he has is he thinks that, and he feels that his life is not as valuable as a little child, but the robot determined that the chance of saving him was a fraction of a percentage better than the chance of saving the little girl. So the robot saved the man instead of the little girl instead. And for this, he recognizes the serious danger of handing all these decisions over to a robot. Well, if a robot is making these decisions, especially one as full of error as AI has been, we have a circumstance where people are going to be hurt. We have a circumstance where people who need the health care are going to be pushed off to the side because saving this other person is going to be quote unquote better for the collective whole of society. So you're basically making decisions outside of the humanity of man. And that is the big problem with this study that curiously was not mentioned or brought up in any of the articles on that I read. On to our last one, however, this is moving on into the terrifying as Google's new tool lets large language models fact-check their responses. So, of course, we know that Google is the total purveyor of truth. Of course, we have we know that Zuckerberg has come out with just a ton of information on how the government kind of forced them to act and told them what to suppress and what not to suppress. And we know that the same happened at Twitter. We can presume the same happened at Ztubies as well. And of course, we know that if you talk about certain subjects, you're going to be quote unquote fact checked by the tubies themselves. They're going to give you some banner under your video to supply context. And we also know that I was the one that was in the right regarding all the Kofi stuff. I think that the data is officially in. We can make that declaration. Yet I had my own videos pulled down by their content moderation team as quote unquote misinformation. And so when we get a world where the AI can now start making these decisions better, faster, we should say. And the problem is that they are going to take down everything that does not align with the narrative. And we know who's going to be feeding their narrative. So, of course, this is another one from MIT Tech Review. I don't know why, but every article we pull off of MIT Tech Review is outright terrifying. I mean, last week it was the mark of the beast, and now it's the information police. The thought police are coming for us. So as long as chatbots have been around, there have been such things as hallucinations, an inherent part. Big problem for companies betting big on AI like Google is because they make responses it generates unreliable. Google is releasing a tool to address the issue called Data Gemma. It uses two models to help large language models fact-check their responses against reliable data and cite their sources more transparently. So the first of the two methods is the RIG, retrieval interleaved generation, which acts as part of a fact checker. If a user prompts the model with a question like, has the use of renewable energy sources increased in the world, the model will come up with a first draft answer. Then RIG identifies what portion of the draft answer could be checked against Google's data commons. And a massive repository of data statistics from reliable sources like the United Nations or Centers for Disease Control and Protection. Next, run the checks and replaces incorrect original guesses with the original ones. And so we're going to be utilizing truthful sources like United Nations and Centers for Disease Control. Of course, it's Google, so they're going to be looking at the World Health Organization. And we know that those guys are the total beacon of absolute truth and total objectivity. So you must do everything they say. And so now the AI that you're using is going to be supplying your data from these resources. The second method gets back to that RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So there's a prompt like, what progress has Pakistan made against global health goals? In response, the model examines the data, and the data commons could help answer the question. Such information about the access to safe drinking water, hepatitis B, immunizations, life expectancies. Those figures in hand, the model then builds an answer on top of that and cites its sources. But of course, it's got to fact check all that as well. So now we have AI fact-checking itself against the official experts who steered everything in the wrong way. It's quite terrifying, folks. That is quite terrifying indeed. But we want to consider business news next. So Mint Reform Next combines open source hardware and usable performance. So this is a completely open sourced computer. So every part, every component is open sourced. Now, the problem is that it was not a particularly good computer last time. This newer one is a little bit better spec'd. So let's see if I can see the pictures here. Now, of course, you look at it, it looks like a computer from the 1990s. In fact, I have one that was about this thick. It's a very thick computer. You can see the buttons are not aesthetic. They're pretty ugly. You can see here how thick it is. I think they have this port off there just so you can see, but you have a USB port, SD card, the USB-C. That looks like HDMI, headphone jack. So you have all that. So that's kind of cool that you have those options there. It is a little bit thicker, and you can see it has the battery pack over here. We have, this is trackpad stuff here. And then some of the CPU shells here, and I think some of it's going to be under the keyboard as well. Now, this newer model has a lot more power. This is the Cortex A76 CPU, which is the same one used in the Raspberry Pi 5, which I can say, using the Raspberry Pi 5 for several months now, it is a very good machine. You can use this to replace a lot of your work, unless you're doing heavy graphics or video production stuff. Any of the other basic stuff you can replace with this processor. It is good. YouTube's hit or miss. It depends on the resolution you're watching. But I mean, I'll watch the occasional video over there I need for some job I'm doing without a problem, which is pretty cool. So they have 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM. So that's actually pretty good. So they have, let's see what else we got. Defaults to trackpad instead of a trackball, starting the Rock Chip RK3588 instead of the old one from the original model. So this is actually a really good. Now, every one of these components is also fully open source, modular, and replaceable. So you can fix, repair, replace, and upgrade this computer as much as you can get parts. Now, what I liked about it, being a geek who's actually producing this in a van, my batteries right now are running off this technology, the LifePo batteries. So the batteries are user replaceable LifePo batteries, but there's also switches on the motherboard if you want to use lithium ion batteries instead. So lithium ion batteries have a much shorter lifespan, about 1/10 the lifespan of LifePo. They are lighter batteries. I'm not sure if they're as recyclable or whatever else, but the lithium ion batteries are a little bit lighter. They don't last as long. They're not quite as good. LifePo is one of the best consumer battery technologies we have. This is what I'm running in my van here. So, you know, I haven't plugged into the grid in I don't know how long. And I started the stream here with full battery power. I'm still, even with this computer on, my system's reporting 13.2 volts, which means I'm over 80% of battery capacity right now. These LifePos are amazing. So that's what this computer has by default, which is good. So the new one has HDMI, USB-C, retains mechanical keyboard like from the original. It changes over USB-C. Also features 4 PCI lanes and internal connection for an M2 storage. So this is actually a pretty nice little fully open source beast. It'd be fun to play around with one of those. See how it is. Good feelings gone. Of course, Android is now regressing. So Apple, remind you, was the one. In fact, Google just got involved, in fact, in the monopoly, in the antitrust cases, which I had defended them repeatedly because Google has always had a way to sideload apps. Good feelings gone. Google is now going backwards. Now that it has been sued for being an illegal monopoly, now it proceeds to make itself an illegal monopoly. What kind of backwards timeline are we in? Jeez. May as well go be eating a kitty cat. I'm sorry, kitty. No. I'll leave you alone, kitty. All right. The kitties over there. The kitties over there are like, no, please save me. Please save me, somebody. Anyway. Back on track. So now they are running out a program that select partners who upload their apps in the Play Store can block unofficial installations of their apps. So if you choose to get their app from an alternative source, they can block you from installing it and give you a nice little button to get it from the Google Play Store instead. And from what the article says, there is not a way to circumvent this. This is not a, I understand the warning. This is not a, I still prefer this one. This is a, no, you are not installing the app unless it comes from the Google Play Store. Which means if I want to use an alternative Play Store like Aurora or F-Droid or anything else, and I go to install the app, it's going to be like, nope, you got to get it from Google Play Store instead. So they are literally creating the monopoly after they have been sued for being a monopoly and antitrust. And they started doing that after their lawsuits. But, you know, Google has friends in very high places called the DOJ. So I just don't think that anybody's going to like stop anything. I mean, Google has access to those F-15s that dementia patient in chief was talking about. So here's the automatic protection over here. They're talking about it. You cannot install apps in this program from a source other than the Google Play Store. So unknown distribution channels are blocked. Now, it's not every app, but it is certain people. So I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of problematic. Come on, guys. We got to get that Linux phone going. The end is nigh. Of course, I don't really install any apps that would be on that list anyway, so whatever that's worth. And down to our next one, we have the world's first stainless steel SD card is here to save you from broken photographic dreams. Man, I could have used one of these. I actually did have a case where I have my NAS in the van. It sits on a, I have them on like a vibration board, which will cut vibrations down, but still vibrates a little bit. And I had plugged in the drive to do a backup, and it pushed the drive out a little bit closer against the wall. And just the mild amount of vibration it got against the wall, the Pi ended up touching the wall and vibrating on the wall, and that snagged and broke the SD card, which runs the NAS. Now, of course, I keep a mirror image of that card, so I was like, well, crap, that sucks. I had to go in, pull out the old card, verify it worked, and then I just recloned it again, so I still have another backup copy. Well, this will solve that particular problem, the other problem of accidentally breaking a card, especially if you get a case where some card is harder to get out of something and you accidentally crack it or snap it. Because it's kind of curious that these things are still made from plastic, right? Well, these ones are made from stainless steel. Now, the problem is they don't have the speed quite right. You can see this is only a 280, 205. That's the gold. They have the silver. I don't remember what the read speed was, but the write is 160. Now, the best cards are 1700 and 1000. So that's definitely, it's got some speed to desire. But if you're looking at backup or higher sensitive things, stuff that and you don't need the speed for it. You're not streaming 4K video off of this thing. You're just taking some pictures. These will work for that. So nice new stainless steel cards. They didn't have any information about their alleged price or anything, but they are certainly cool. You'll be able to buy both Armor SD cards in 128, 256, 512, or 1 terabyte. Pricing has not yet been announced, but we have asked Lexar for an update, and we'll update the story when we hear back. So there you have it. That's pretty cool. Lexar indestructible SD cards. They're not really indestructible, but they're going to be last a lot longer than other ones. And on to our last story is a Steam update. So if you are involved in a family, you have a household and you like Steam, and everybody likes Steam, the Steam Family Update is out of beta and now available to everybody. So if you're not a family person, this is not necessarily applicable. And there's also some question, does this deal explicitly with households, or is just any 6 accounts or so? So the idea is that you can link 6 different accounts together as a family account. And the family account, you can assign the children who have no administrator privileges, and the, I think it's children and adults, I think. And the adults have administrative privileges. They can decide who can play what games and allow different channels. They can allow you to talk to people or not. So you have all that. The cool thing this does is this gives you the ability that those 6 people all effectively share the game pool. So if you have bought a game, but somebody else in the family would like to play it, they no longer have to sign in under your login. They just sign in under their login, and as long as they're linked to the family, then they can play your game. Now, you can only play the number, you can only have the one gameplay instance per game in there. So the example they have here is that if 2 people in the family have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, then 2 people can play the game simultaneously and play it together. And so you have that as an option. But if there's only one of them in there, then only one person can play at a time, but you're not limited to which account is that game in. So you have that. You have improved parenting controls. So they have the adult and the child. The adult can manage the member invites, apply account restrictions. Oh, the other cool thing this does is that the child can, instead of you giving your credit card number to the kid or buying it or something like that, or having to get gift cards, whatever else you're already doing, now what happens is the kid just puts the game into the basket, and any adult in the account can just enter their credit card through their account and purchase the game into the kid's account. And that way the kids never have access to any payment methods. So that's actually a really cool thing. So for the people that are gamer families, this is a really, really sweet deal. The only question we didn't see a lot of clarity as to, is this relate specifically to household, or can this just be any 6 people? And how do you handle the kids going off to college question and things like that? So those are some of the features there. So that's actually a pretty cool update for those people there. They clarify the old family sharing feature will eventually be retired, but they don't have a timeline for that. They doesn't directly say, this is where it gets down to the household type stuff. Steam doesn't directly say that Steam families will be limited to one ISP. The terminology like this, in quote, this information is available from wherever you access Steam, including your mobile device, when you are away from your home, end quote, lends us to believe, like Netflix, it will be limited to one household. I don't know. We need to see what that is. So, that is actually pretty cool in some of those respects. So let me know what you think about that. And with that, we are going to jump on over to your favorite place and mine. Let's go to SillyVille. First up, a Navy chief, a couple Navy chiefs conspired to get themselves illegal warship Wi-Fi and got court-martialed for it. I don't know what rank an E7 is. You can let me know in the comments. But these guys were like, they had a serious internet addiction. Just don't ask what they were doing on it. Especially don't ask that scammer that says they caught what you were doing on it. But they're like, we can't go out to sea and not have the internet. We are young millennial children who definitely need always access to our internet at all times. Come on, you can't take our internet. So one of the Navy chiefs here got together with some of the other chiefs and said, make y'all a deal. And it was a lady, so she says, well, what if we pool some money together and we will pick ourselves up a Starlink and we'll get it configured, and being configured, we're going to make sure that only we have access to it. And so there were some rules they put on it. So they pulled together their money and they created a proxy account and they shipped a Starlink dish into a port where they were going to be at. They picked the thing up, and now they have like $1,000 a month Netflix bill because it's out in the sea and roaming around a lot of different places and things. And so now they're all pooling in their money, giving it to this one person who's dumping it into a proxy account to pay the monthly Starlink bill. They can, the chiefs like only use it in your room so other people don't find out. And so they have their own little internet, and apparently nobody really noticed. This little Starlink dish was down here on this warship. Now, the fundamental problem with this thing, okay, they fix it to a wood pallet and use wire tie downs to secure it to the weather deck. All right. So the big problem here is that you can't be having internet on the warship because it completely triggers in on your location. And so it is very easy to intercept that signal and figure out where you are, not to mention all of the connections to the internet being made, and all of those things there. Now, this is a pretty big deal because this was an active duty ship. And so you can't be having internet out at sea on an active duty warship. Really big problem. And so effectively, I think what happened is they were caught because some of the lower level basic crew members kind of knew this was going on and wanted in and wouldn't be let in. And so they kind of snitched a little bit. That's what I believe has happened. But Morano was relieved in late 2023 after repeatedly misleading and lying to her ship's command about the Wi-Fi network. She was convicted at a court-martial this spring in connection to the scheme. She was sentenced to a reduction in rank to E7 after the trial and did not respond to requests for comment for this report. Oh, really? So what is an E7? That is my big fundamental question from our military stuff. E is enlisted, rank 7 is 3 chevrons, 2 rockers in the Army. So I'm guessing that's probably not a good thing. Has yet to release the entirety of the investigation. Oh, all of the other people, they didn't get court-martial, but they all had like summary judgments and things like that. And so any new member of the CPO mess, which then paid into service, joined the conspiracy following the operational status, they said. Everybody else in there, got in some trouble. Installation and usage of Starlink without approval of higher headquarters. Approval of higher headquarters poses a serious risk to the mission, operational security, and information security. And then Senior Chief Grishal Marara was court-martialed, convicted, and reduced to rank E7. Yep. Yep. There you have it, guys. There you have it. Well, this researcher is being sued by demonstrating to the mayor of a city that, yes, all of your citizens' private data was stolen and is easily accessible. They're like, no, it's not. It's only accessible if you're a computer hacker. And he's like, no, pretty much anybody can do this. So the city of Columbus, Ohio, has filed a lawsuit against security researcher David Leroy Ross, a.k.a. Connor Goodwolf, accusing him of illegally downloading and disseminating data stolen from the city's IT network and leaked by the ransomware gang. Columbus, the capital of the popular city, suffered a ransomware attack which caused various service outages and unavailability of email and IT connectivity between public agencies. At the end of July, the administration announced that no systems had been encrypted, but they were looking into the possibility that sensitive data may have been stolen in the attack. On the same day that the ransomware claimed responsibility for the attack, alleging they stole 6.5 terabytes of databases, including employee credentials, server dumps, city video camera feeds, and other sensitive information. On August 8th, after failing to extort the city, and the threat actors published 45% of the data, consisting of 26,000 files, exposing much of what they had previously claimed to be holding. So according to the complaint, the exposed data set includes 2 backup databases of large amounts of data gathered by local prosecutors and police force dating back to 2015, containing, among other things, personal information of undercover police officers. On the day of the data leak, the extortion portal on the web, Columbus Mayor Andrew Gintner stated to local media that the disclosed information was neither valuable nor usable, and the attack had been successfully thwarted. A few hours later, Goodwolf disputed the mayor's claims that no sensitive data or valuable data was exposed, by sharing information with the media about what was leaked in the data set. In response to this, the mayor claims the exposed data was encrypted and corrupted and the leak was unusable. All right, so we're going to stop reading there. I just wanted to read it again to verify myself one more time. So the city has a major data breach which leaked effectively everything in the city. They say, the mayor, and you know he's lying because his lips are moving and he's a politician, the mayor says there was no useful data there. Goodwolf says that's not correct. He's a security researcher. He says that's not correct. He goes onto the dark web. Now, this stuff was shared for free. He just goes on a dark web and downloads it and demonstrates to the media that, yes, there is serious stuff in here. We're talking criminal complaints, results of investigations, undercover police reports, citizens' data, all sorts of stuff. The mayor now says that this guy must have hacked it and is distributing the information. He says, no, it's publicly available. No, they go on and say that that it's not publicly available. Not everybody can do this. In fact, nobody can really do this. You have to have special hacking tools to do what he did. He's like, no, you download the Tor browser bundle. Okay. That was it. And so the city, though, is suing him and alleging that he's actually the one doing it because the mayor is an incompetent buffoon and nobody over there knows anything about computer security. And that happens to be the growing trend, which is why we need to pass laws yesterday about the seriousness of collecting and storing anybody's data, because there's no reason. There's no reason to have 10-year-old police cases on an active server connected to the internet. No reason to do that. That's it. And on to our last one. Of course, the end of the year is coming, and in November, there's always a novelist competition that will, the competition is to write a novel in 1 month. Start it and finish it in 1 month, and then there's like worldwide submissions, and then you can submit this in, and depending on which group and competition you're doing, you might be selected to be published or whatever other fun things are doing. Well, the writer group decided they wanted to have AI have an active role. So please spare a thought for artificial intelligence. It may not have feelings, but if it did, it would feel devastated by all the nasty things people are saying about it. All it's trying to do is take our jobs and potentially destroy the world, but the people can't stop being mean. Exhibit 1. Okay, the recent controversy with the organization runs the National Writers Month, a yearly challenge to produce a manuscript in 1 month. In a recent statement, NaNoWriMo wrote that it doesn't explicitly support or condemn any approach to writing, including the use of AI. Further, the categorical condemnation of artificial intelligence has classist and ableist undertones, questions around the use of AI tied to the questions around privilege. So now they're actually trying to scream privilege, ableism, and classism for people that say, maybe we shouldn't be using AI. It's only mostly destroyed every industry it has touched. Really? Or what? Yeah, AI is working class now, apparently. So, did someone in the managerial class fire up ChatGPT and prompted it to weaponize social justice language in defensive technology? There you go. The technology has been accused of stealing from artists and writers by training itself using their work without compensating them, and now is making the rich richer. Okay. The weird statement sparked a lot of anger. 4 members of the writers' board stepped down in protest. When she quit, best-selling author Maureen Johnson urged other writers to beware. Your work on the platform is almost certainly going to be used to train the AI. So they're saying you can write AI. Now, the problem is they're going to get about 100 times more submissions than they've gotten in previous years. Most of it's going to be AI-written nonsense, and they're going to utilize AI to grade all and now analyze all these things, effectively, thus further feeding the AI. So this is where it gets really good. They attempted damage control and issued a statement saying that the original wording was unclear, which, as The Guardian notes here, is not ideal when you're a writing organization when your written messages are unclear. Okay. It doesn't believe those with concerns about AI to be a classist or labelist, but lots of writers seemed wary of both the organization and AI. All right. So there you have it, guys. Even in the writing world, we are getting completely caught up in all of this nonsense. Can't we just have a competition where all of us say, let's banish AI, let's sit down and let's write? But no, Pandora's box has been opened and there is no closing of the box. So that's that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a locals page, switchedtolinux.locals.com. You can jump on over there, help support the channel. We will be bringing back our short stories that are not written with AI this month. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be a little bit later than usual, probably about I think I'm going to try and target the 20th now for the short stories. I don't know. We'll see what happens when I have the other book produced and I have, a little bit more time on my hands for writing. With that, though, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.